Do you ever feel inadequate? Like you just can't quite measure up to the expectations set by your boss, by your family? Maybe it's the expectation of family responsibility that just seems sometimes like you just can't quite get it right. You feel like things are a mess and you're just weak and unable to perform to the best of your ability. And even if you could perform at the best of your ability, it still somehow wouldn't be enough. When I was in high school, I wasn't the most athletic person in the world, but I played sports and went to a pretty small high school. So I kind of just assumed that my sophomore year, when I went back out for the basketball team, I was going to make it. But I found out the hard truth on day 3 of tryouts, that I was going to be cut. There just wasn't enough space on the team to keep developing me as a player. So I was lost. I didn't know what to do. All my friends were still in sports. Most of them were playing basketball or they were cheerleaders, and I knew that I could still go to basketball games because I played in the pep band, but I hated the idea of not being good enough. And that wasn't the only time in my life that I didn't feel good enough. In fact, there are still times today when the devil continues to spread that lie in my head. But the truth of the matter is, this feeling of inadequacy or weakness is actually a strength. Because if you could do everything on your own, if you could have your own cup filled with just how awesome and great you are, why would you have any need for a savior? So like Paul, I rejoice in weakness. I want to read to you a section from 2 Corinthians, which is Paul's letter to the people living in Corinth at that time. This is chapter 12. But he, that's God, said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you. For my power is made perfect in weakness." My grace is sufficient for you. It's enough. For my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I'm weak, then I'm strong. You know, I've had some friends who have told me that they really felt like they've hit rock bottom. How could they possibly mess up worse than they are? How could they have a worse situation than they've been in? But the truth about rock bottom is we know who's the rock at the bottom. The one holding you up. The one whose power is made perfect in weakness. So remember that God's grace, this love we don't deserve, is sufficient. It's more than we'll ever need. As the psalmist tells us, God's mercy and grace will chase us down and run after us all the days of our lives until we dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So let us boast in our weakness. For when we're weak, then we're strong.